Gentleman from Vermont, Mr. Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee, to allow me and Mr. Schuster to testify today. Credit cards are necessary in today's economy. They do provide a service to merchants in the form of secure payment. They provide a great service to consumers in terms of convenience. And it's reasonable to expect that merchants pay a fair fee for this service, just as consumers should pay a reasonable interest rate on credit. But just as with credit cards issued to consumers, the near monopoly of big banks and credit card companies has led to abuse. The amount of interchange fees collected by big banks tripled from 2001 to 2008, from $16 billion to $48 billion. 80% of that money goes to 10 banks, not 10% of our banks, to 10 banks. Now, part of that is due to the increase in volume, but part is also due to the market power of credit card companies and big banks and to the fact that the interchange fees continue to rise so that now in the United States they are the highest in the world. Credit card companies and big banks are also finding more ways to squeeze merchants for whom the profit on an individual sale, as Mr. Schuster pointed out, can be completely canceled out by the cost of the interchange fee. The Welch-Schuster bill addresses these anti-competitive and abusive interchange practices. It raises 4 fundamental policy questions for this committee to consider. First, should credit card companies and banks have to disclose information about interchange rates? Our view is yes, and our bill would require that disclosure. Should merchants be able freely to advertise cash discounts without credit card company intervention? Our view is yes. This bill would ensure that merchants have that freedom. Third, should merchants have to subsidize rewards or premium credit cards from which they receive no benefit? Our view is no, and our bill would prohibit this practice. That would be an arrangement between the card issuer and the card user. If banks or credit card companies want to offer me airline miles, for example, my corner store should not have to pay. I should pay for that. Fourth, should the government be able to set rules of the road and require the banks and credit card companies to play fair? Our view is yes, and that's why our bill empowers the Federal Trade Commission to prohibit unfair or anti-competitive practices. Mr. Chairman, what's at issue here is a question of fairness and reasonable regulations. Credit card companies have near monopoly power. Individual merchants, one of whom, Kathy Miller from the Elmore General Store in Vermont, doesn't. And we welcome your consideration of these 4 policy questions that are presented by our bill. Thank you.
Ms. Kathy Miller, board member of the Vermont Grocers Association. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Good morning. Mr.
Good morning.
Chairman, Congressman Welch, and House members of the House Financial Services Committee, good morning. I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to testify today. My name is Kathy Miller, and I, along with my husband Warren and daughter Kelly, am the owner of the Elmore Store in Elmore, Vermont. I'm also here today as past chair of the Vermont Grocers Association and on behalf of the Food Marketing Institute and National Grocers Association, which represents our nation's supermarkets and grocery stores. We appreciate you holding this hearing and for the opportunity to provide testimony on credit card interchange fees, also known as swipe fees to merchants who have to pay the fee each time a card is swiped. Thank you to my Congressman Peter Welch for inviting me here today to testify. It's been 3 years since I testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee at the invitation of Senator Leahy on the anti-competitive and anti-consumer practices of the credit card companies. Unfortunately, many of the same problems still exist today, and interchange fee costs have continued to rise at the expense of small businesses like ours. This is the store that we've owned and operated now for 26 years. I'm a 5th-generation Vermonter with deep roots in Elmore. I'm the mom part of the operation. My husband, Warren Pop, is minding the store so I could be with you today. Warren has recently served 2 terms in our state legislature in Montpelier. We're not only committed to our store, but our community and the state of Vermont as well. You may wonder why we do what we do, 7 days a week, 96 hours a week, 364 days a year. To be honest, sometimes we ask ourselves. But we believe that we can and do make a difference to the people in the community that depend upon us. My concern as a small independent store may seem small to you, but it's a huge burden to us and very real. Congressman Welch listened to these concerns from Vermont storekeepers like me, and he wrote legislation to try to address several of them. Warren and I commend Congressman Welch for introducing this important legislation to protect small businesses like our store in Vermont. And we look forward to consideration of the Credit Card Interchange Fees Act by this committee. Since I told my customers I was coming to Washington, D.C. to testify on this issue, I can't even tell you how many of my customers were unaware of the hidden fees. They swipe their cards and think all is free because there's no charge to them at all. Obviously, we lose money on many small transactions and too much on others, so we have to raise prices because we can't absorb it all. In the grocery business, we compete by lowering prices, not by raising them. I'm not a lawyer, but I know this is a huge problem that retailers across the U.S., large and small, are facing. So I ask you to look at this matter seriously. I have customers who apologize to me for using their cards. I keep telling them, please keep coming in the store and shopping. We need and appreciate your business. We have streamlined our business to reduce costs as best we can. Maintenance doesn't get done as it should. Less money goes out in payroll, but we just can't keep absorbing these fees in these tough economic times. The interchange swipe fees were, if the interchange swipe fees were fair and reasonable, Warren and I would have more money to invest back into our business. An example is we only have one phone line to save money. I can't take a deli order. I can't do grocery orders with my line tied up to swipe credit cards. What happens in a small country store when a customer swipes their card? A pack of 35-cent gum, it's pre-priced, costs us 21 cents. The swipe fee on that sale costs us 21 cents, so I just lost money. I might as well just let them take the gum. A 99-cent bag of chips, it's pre-priced again, cost us 74 cents. The credit card fees are 23 cents. I can only make 2 cents on that sale. What's wrong with this picture? Congressman Welch's bill would allow us to set reasonable minimum purchase requirements. Visa and MasterCard require us to accept all their cards if we take any. And the whole market of host of affinity cards, so-called free features. I rode in on a plane. I haven't been on a plane in I can't tell you how long, and I've lost it now, but there's a napkin in front of me. Get free airplane rides. Well, nothing's free. Oh, here it is. Thanks. So we can't tell you what they can't tell you is they charge merchants higher interchange rates for accepting these cards. Warren and I haven't gone on a vacation in 10 years, yet every day we're paying for our customers' trips when we take their credit cards. The Visa and MasterCard contract rules are not law, so why do we comply with them? Well, this hasn't happened to us yet, but we've heard stories of other small businesses being threatened with excessive fines for breaking the rules, even for something as minor as requiring a $5 minimum to use a credit card. A $5,000 fine, a day fine, which I hear is Visa and MasterCard's going rate these days, would simply put us out of business. I had a store owner call me to say they were going to get fined $25,000. What should we do? I said, take your signs down. We can't set minimums. The average supermarket industry profit margin last year was 1.43%. That means a profit of $1.43 on a $100 transaction. The interchange paid to the bank that issued that card on the same transaction is more than that. I would like to ask you on your next ride home to take a look and see how many vacant storefronts there are in your small downtowns. Just this last winter alone, 6 stores closed within a 50-mile radius of us. Some days I feel like I should just turn my keys in, but too many people count on us. Elmore is a town with 850 people. We're the hub. We're mom and pop. Excuse me. We're just trying to keep our doors open. Thank you very much, and I'd be pleased to answer questions.